Is WWE Raw moving to Amazon Prime? That's a big question. We got to talk about it in today's video, plus so much more. Don't forget, we're giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers, so go ahead and click subscribe today. Welcome back to the Ango Show. We got to kick things off with a big Giulia update. This came straight from Bleacher Report. Giulia is unhappy with WWE interest leaking. Interesting. So, Fightful Select reported that the soon-to-be free agent appeared to not be thrilled with reports of WWE's interest. Giulia apparently isn't happy about leaks and rumors of her potentially going to WWE and WWE having interest in her. But this article did make a very interesting statement. They said there is more than enough time to repair any potential damage done, and WWE is probably a better fit for Giulia to introduce her to a wider audience. That said, if AEW wants to swoop in on the sly, this might be the time. Now, guys, listen, I'm a huge fan of Giulia. We've obviously been talking a lot about Giulia as of late, leaving Stardom, going to America, and it looked like all signs were pointed to her heading to WWE. But I could actually understand why Giulia would be upset in this case. And I think the big thing with social media is a lot of people are trying to turn this into a situation where Giulia is upset with WWE, but it's very specifically said that she is not thrilled with reports of WWE's interest. Now, I think with pro wrestling today, and it's so difficult, obviously, us YouTubers, there's dirt sheets, there's wrestling commentators, and sometimes even wrestlers themselves, but things do leak. That's the reality of it. And, I feel like I can understand why talent would be unhappy. But on the flip side to that, I think one really good thing about the IWC, if there is a positive of the dirt sheets, if there is a positive, being in the space of where we're talking about things happening before they do happen and spoilers, I do think rumors do create excitement. And I think for a lot of people who may not be familiar with Giulia, may have watched a video of mine or somebody else's, maybe they've seen the reports, maybe they've seen people talking about it on Twitter, there is a lot of buzz about where Giulia would go. And if Giulia wasn't a free agent, and if Giulia wasn't reportedly getting interest from WWE and AEW, maybe not as many people would be talking about Giulia, right? Which is a shame because she's a hell of a talent and people should just be talking in general. But the reason why there's excitement right now is because there is a chance that she could be leaving Stardom, coming to America, being on weekly television, and that type of thing. So I think, the excitement aspect from the IWC is always good, right? There's always tons of fantasy booking and things like that, and I think that actually helps a lot of the talent as well. There's a lot of talent that are rumored to go to TNA and AEW, and it's like, with the IWC constantly talking about it, there's a reason why it trends on Twitter, and that's a big thing. So for me personally, I still want to see Giulia in WWE, and I think it will be fine, but obviously you never know. You never know in this type of situation. Guys, Dolph Ziggler, this is so crazy. Dolph Ziggler reportedly sent emails asking to be released from his WWE contract. I have to talk about this. He was on Busted Open Radio this morning. He spoke a little bit about, wrestling in Puerto Rico up in the next month, obviously working with New Japan and stuff. He said that it wasn't out of the blue with his release from the WWE. He said, I had sent emails to the boss over the last few months saying I have to move on to somewhere else. Can you let me do this? Eventually, without exact back and forth, that's how it worked out. It wasn't weird because it was so, 6, 8, 10 months in place going, here it comes. Now I have 90 days sitting around, which broke my heart, but I just got extra workouts. It's interesting with Dolph Ziggler's situation because I think a lot of wrestling fans in particular, they will, I think they'll speak for talent and stuff like that, and I don't think that's a good thing. I will never speak for talent and how they should feel. I can only offer my perspective and maybe how I would feel if I were in their shoes. But Dolph Ziggler is a hell of a talent, man, and we know he's a hell of a talent. But when you look at the wrestling industry and you see that companies have bloated rosters, and Dolph Ziggler has been there for a long time, I understand he's a top star quality guy. We know this, right? But that doesn't seem to fit in WWE, which is why I don't look at him getting released or asking to be released as a bad thing, right? He's very good. He will be one of those guys that, He leaves WWE and goes on to do great things after WWE. That doesn't necessarily happen for all the talent in professional wrestling, let alone WWE. We have seen time and time again, people get released from WWE and they call it quits. They're done. They don't want to wrestle anymore. Dolph Ziggler, yeah, he's great. And because WWE didn't utilize him, doesn't make him bad. It doesn't make Mustafa Ali bad because they get released or they want out. They should be able to go elsewhere. That's the beauty of having multiple wrestling companies that are successful. Like, WWE is not the end all be all, and just because he didn't fit in WWE with who they're trying to push and what they're trying to push and what they're trying to do on TV doesn't mean he's a bad talent. And the good thing is, for someone like Dolph Ziggler, whether he shows up in TNA or stays with NJPW or maybe even goes to AEW, there is a lot of good that could come from that. And I don't think it's better in AEW. I don't think it's better in TNA. I don't think it's better. It's better in general, regardless of the company, that there's multiple companies, because not everybody will be the top guy in AEW. Not every guy will be the top guy in WWE. Not every guy will be the top guy in TNA. Not every guy will be the top guy in New Japan. But the reality is you can go from one place to another. You might be underutilized here. There's a chance that you could go somewhere else and be better utilized. And there's always that possibility that you could leave WWE, go to AEW, and have 0 singles matches for the entire year of 2023. That's always a possibility too. It's not always, the grass is not always greener on the other side, but the good news is there's multiple sides that you can go to now. So for Dolph Ziggler, I understand why he would ask for his release, and I also understand why WWE didn't use him. It has nothing to do with his skill level or whatever. It's just the way WWE is, and WWE's brand will always be bigger than the talent. At least that's how they try to push it. And I think for Dolph Ziggler, it's okay that it didn't work out because he is good enough to make it work elsewhere. And that's exciting. It's good to see that there's a guy like Dolph who will continue to stay and blossom and do amazing things. WWE moving to Amazon Prime. Guys, it's not the first time we've talked about this, but a very interesting article came out today by sportsbusinessjournal.com. John Orend coming out with a whole bunch of massive predictions, and these are very in-depth predictions about media rights. Some of the things that you'll see in this article, very, very cool stuff. ESPN takes control of the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone. Amazon lands an NFL playoff game in 2025. A lot of stuff. ESPN keeps the entire NCAA rights package. ESPN renews UFC. NBC will carry more MLB games. Tons of stuff, man. But what I found really interesting was Amazon picking up WWE Raw. John Orend writes, Amazon gets WWE Raw rights and keeps the series on Monday nights. This hits an audience of young males, a demo where Amazon believes it sees growth in Prime subscriptions. Plus, it gives the company another night of live programming on Prime Video. Guys, we talked about this when covering the CW stuff. NXT on free TV. SmackDown on USA on cable television. WWE Raw going to streaming. Yeah, for some people, they're not going to like it. And I totally understand why. I don't blame you for not liking it. This is more of a personal thing, right? This is not about having a popular opinion. This is about having a personal opinion. For me personally, I use Amazon Prime. I watch Amazon Prime Video. There are benefits that I get from using Amazon Prime Video. You put WWE Raw on there, I have zero problem with that. From a business perspective, yeah, it's probably not going to get the same amount of eyes that it currently gets on cable. Does that matter to WWE? No. I fully expect Amazon to spend a shit ton of money to get WWE Raw if that's what they're going to do. So WWE would be prioritizing money over total viewership. Is that a bad thing? No, because at the end of the day, the money talks. Now, personally speaking, from a personal opinion, because I have no issue with them doing this, I would have a gripe with WWE putting Raw on Amazon Prime and then not making it a little bit edgier. You know what I'm saying? If it's going to be on a streaming deal, it's on a streaming platform, I feel like it's fine for them to maybe have a little bit of blood here and there. Maybe a little bit more grit. Maybe not censoring the holy shit chants, right? Those types of things. So I'm not saying it has to go TV 14, but I would hope Amazon as a partner would realize that WWE doesn't need that. I also kind of want to point this out too. I mentioned it a year ago, 2 years ago, when I did my Amazon deal for the Ango show. It doesn't shock me that Amazon would want live pro wrestling. And I've said that a long time ago. We've talked about this several times. I think this is a very big possibility. I know the wrestling fans are talking about WBD and Paramount and this and CBS and NBC and FX and all these other things, and that's great. But I do see WWE having the trifecta: free TV, free broadcast television, cable television, streaming deal. And who knows, man, if this is a really good thing for WWE, maybe this is what leads to WWE taking off of Peacock and going to Amazon Prime for their pay-per-views eventually. We're a long ways away from that, but that's a possibility, and that's something to definitely consider. What do you guys think? Where do you want to see it go? And what's ideal for you? Let's not talk about popular opinions. What is the most ideal situation for you that is realistic where WWE Raw could end up and you as a viewer would be happy? I don't pay for cable anymore. I don't have cable television. But obviously there's streaming apps where you can watch live TV, and that's how you get channels these days. I would never be opposed to everything just being on one streaming app and that would be it, but that's just not how it works anymore, and obviously television industry has changed.